Welcome to the Soar Show. I'm Kathleen.
Hi, I'm Sheila.
And I'm Carrie, and today we are back at Champions, of course, and we're going to be talking about being misunderstood.
I know that's a topic.
Great topic.
It's a great topic.
Especially
Yes,
in today's world.
Yeah, well,
absolutely.
of course, with social media, with texting as popular as it is, that's a big one.
Yes.
Really
My
messed up.
new marriage, we have a lot of misunderstandings.
Okay, well, we're going to get to all that fun stuff and misunderstood stuff, but first we're going to talk about words.
Okay.
Yeah.
My word, I'll go first.
You go
My word
first.
is leaves.
Aw.
Y'all, they are everywhere. You know how that tree looks so beautiful in the spring when it's budding out? This time of the year, it's like there's leaves in the yard, leaves in the driveway, leaves in the road. We're just
Everywhere.
They're everywhere.
We were just at a restaurant eating, and the car sitting at the very front spot of the restaurant, which had just opened, was covered in leaves. I'm like, how do you even get here?
Oh,
All
that's
those
funny.
leaves all over him. And of course they were wet leaves, so maybe they just stuck to it. But
It's a beautiful time of the year,
It
though.
is.
I grew up on the East Coast. We have mostly pine trees, so we don't have the leaves. You don't have the fall, the leaves turning colors and all that change, and they're beautiful
Yeah,
as they fall all over the place.
they are.
Yeah, they are.
So my word is knowledge. I have discovered audiobooks, which I absolutely love because I live an hour away. So when I'm driving, not with Billy, but in my own car, I get to listen to whatever I want to. And I'm actually listening to a book called The Obesity Code,
Mhm.
and it's fantastic. It's very, very sciencey, and I'm learning a lot about the body and what makes us obese. So it's pretty cool. So that's my word, knowledge. Get all you can.
I can't wait till you
Good.
can, like, we'll do a show about that, so you
Okay.
can fill us all in.
Yeah.
I like audiobooks too. And I
Oh,
love it
wow.
if they get the right narrator in that voice.
Yes.
Now yours is educational, but if you get a
Yeah.
really good, like, novel and you got a great narrator,
Yeah.
that's good for me.
Cracker Barrel, I know a lot of people used to do the Cracker Barrel where you can turn them in, like you can turn the audiobooks in at any location if you
Mhm.
buy or rent them
On
from
the
Cracker
road?
Barrel. Yeah,
Yeah.
on the road.
Yeah.
But now, with COVID and all the libraries being online, you can rent those books or check those books out free from
I
a lot of
didn't
the
know
online
about that.
libraries.
I
That's
wonder,
that's
Yeah.
good to know. Maybe I need to cancel my Audible subscription.
Ooh.
I wonder if Cracker Barrel's even still doing that, not want people to touch, and then you turn them in and
Maybe
someone
not.
else touches them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, true.
It's a whole new world. My word is percent.
Okay.
And I think that that's a very important word. So often now, it seems like a common answer is you'll ask somebody something and they'll go, oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Uh-huh.
You know, that's kind of like a response. And it made me think about percent so important of everything in our lives. How much percent of our day are we happy? How much percent of our day are we worried about something?
Mhm.
How much percent do we put into high volume activity like
There
you
you go.
talked about?
Yeah.
So think about the percent. When you've got 100%, what amount of that are you giving to things that could really make a difference in your life?
That's a good word. That's a lot to think
We need a
about.
topic. That needs to be a
Yeah.
topic.
Okay, we'll
Yeah.
talk about that percent.
Percent.
I like it.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, what about a fun fact?
Did you know, this is a pretty good one, did you know that the tongue is the strongest muscle in the body?
Yeah,
Pretty
Wow.
interesting, huh?
yeah.
And you know, it's kind of a, I can't think of the right word, but when you think about the tongue being the strongest muscle in the entire body, and then you think about the words that come out of your mouth,
Mhm.
using your tongue are
Ooh.
also some of the most powerful, whether they're positive words or negative words that you're speaking to others. So
Right.
it's the strongest in that sense as well.
That is interesting to put the two of those thoughts together like that. I don't know what that would be called,
Yeah,
Like-
I don't know, but we'll think about that.
other than,
Mm.
yeah. Cool. What about a current event?
Current event. Ooh. There's so many, but the one that I've been looking at is the Supreme Court
Oh.
hearing for Judge Amy Barrett.
Mm-hmm.
What do y'all think about that? Have y'all been listening
I
to
watched-
the confirmation hearings?
I didn't hear her. Go ahead.
I only listened to the different party sides give their presentations on Monday, and it was pretty fascinating.
It is interesting to see the things that are coming up with religion,
Mm-hmm.
um,
And should not be.
and should not be, but also it was interesting this morning. I was listening to Dianne Feinstein.
Me too. I watched hers.
Is that? I mean, you already know, like from their previous interaction, she told her there was a dogma that lives within her.
Right.
So it was interesting to see that exchange. But honestly, I thought it was pretty civil.
I thought Dianne Feinstein actually was very respectful to
I thought
her.
so too. I thought so.
About her being a mom and her kids and all that. And then when she realized that she wasn't going to get anywhere with her on Roe versus Wade,
Yeah.
she kind of dropped it.
I don't.
But
think,
did you see the little slip with her? Like it kind of freaked me out. She's sitting there asking her and quizzing her on what her decision would be in reversing Roe versus Wade, and obviously Amy wasn't willing to say or make any, statements.
As she should
Not commit
right
to something
now.
today. So then Dianne Feinstein says, well, then I'll move on to gun control and all this. So they start talking about that. Then she brings up Roe versus Wade again in the middle of it, and Amy was just like, you could see her face. And then she finished off about guns, and it was like she had this blip in her memory, like Biden does sometimes.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, oh my goodness, what is going on here?
It's interesting. Of course, I have two high school seniors in my household, and talking about government and economics and explaining to them that Supreme Court, they're not the people that make the laws.
That's
they're,
right.
They're interpreting what's already been made. So it's been interesting talking about the branches of the government.
Very much so. Yeah, I can't remember the senator's name, but he did the best presentation. It was basically Civics 101 on Monday. It was phenomenal how he explained it. I sat there with Billy and I said, this is beautiful. He's explaining exactly how this works or should work, how civics works, that she is not a lawmaker. She's a decision maker or
Interpreter of
yes,
previous decisions.
Supreme Court judges are just that. They interpret a case where, and here was the other fascinating fact. Excuse me. The interesting fact to me was when it was brought out that most Supreme Court decisions are not, they're not like 4-5 or even 6-3. They're typically 9-0 or they're 8-1.
Yeah.
They're almost always overwhelmingly in favor and in unison with one another.
Well, it speaks to
Which
that they're
I was
all
surprised
using
by.
the same guideline then.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
To me, that says they're doing
Yeah.
their job.
Even though they come from all these different backgrounds.
It would be
and-
scary to see
Yeah.
4-3 and or
4-5.
4-5 and all that, because then you're going, wow, well, is what's in black and white that ambiguous? Is that gray?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Our Constitution doesn't set out how many Supreme Court justices there's supposed to be. That's the other
Mhm.
issue regarding these hearings and the presidential election. Are they going to add more justices to try and get those opinions to go more towards the liberal side or the conservative side? It's very interesting.
It really is very
So-
interesting.
Well, and that with that being interesting, if you want to watch a great Netflix show, which we often recommend, Designated Survivor.
Oh yeah,
Have you
seen
been
that?
watching
I
that?
started it.
It's
I
from
watched
2016.
the first season.
Okay, I think
Yeah.
there may only be one season, but there's like 22 episodes in the first season. It's Kiefer
Oh,
Sutherland.
yeah.
It's good. It's
I'll
a
watch
long,
that.
this kind of whole thing. Yeah, it's good.
And just a reminder, we started watching Social Dilemma last night.
Yeah.
That's a must-see for every parent.
Okay.
Really everyone, but if you have children, you need to watch that.
I want to watch that.
All
We
right.
talked about
I
it.
need to also.
And after we talk about our show here with misunderstandings, and like you said, we'll go on and move into that topic. You know, a lot of people feel like they're misunderstood,
Mm-hmm.
and they feel like they're the only ones. It's easy to have that happen. Like, what's wrong with me? Why am I different? Why do people misunderstand me? And you start reevaluating yourself when sometimes I wonder, is it even our problem? If it seems to be a consistent problem with one or two people misunderstanding you, but you don't seem to have that problem with other people, I've got a feeling you need to back off. It's not your problem. It's that
That's
person's
right,
problem.
right.
I
Consider
would
the
say that.
source at that point.
So consider how much depth you give to it.
Exactly.
We bring our own baggage into all relationships and all that internal dialogue when how you receive information, are you receiving it as negative or positive, as helpful or unhelpful,
Well, yeah, none of us want to be misinterpreted or misunderstood. We don't want our motives judged the wrong way.
Right. But it's so, I mean, honestly, unless you're sitting face to face with someone talking, we run the risk of being misunderstood. If we're on the phone, we're distracted with children, we might say something in haste or, texting for sure. I had an awesome case of that this morning with an inspector that was supposed to meet us at 8. And he missed a text message that said, I'm on my way, I'll be there between 8:20 and 8:25. I'd already told him I was running late. I'm gonna look for a one-day code for you, but I'll see you there. And he missed that text. And so
Okay.
then he had to backpedal and apologize. Yeah, there's always misunderstanding that can happen from that, or even emails. A lot of times, if things aren't presented very precisely.
I think when you feel like there's that initial misunderstanding with someone, especially that you care about, the first thing is to go talk in person.
Yeah.
It is to
Well,
talk it out.
And you know, that makes me think, when you're sitting, if you're in counseling, what do? Counselor sits there, you talk, he talks, you know, whatever,
Yeah.
she talks, whomever, and the counselor makes you repeat back what you heard.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I mean? Now, what did you hear him
Yes.
say?
Yeah.
What did you hear her say?
Yeah.
Because therein lies a lot of the problems in relationships and marriages, because just because one person says something, the other person misconstrues it from their package they bring with
Absolutely.
them.
My husband and I have different communication styles. And I'm more like you, Carrie. I'm like, it's black and white. I know the answer. Let's just keep it moving, keep it moving.
Yeah, I
Whereas-
got time for this.
I know. He internalizes. He has all the what ifs and the strategy. If I say this, what'll happen? If I say this, what'll happen? It often takes him quite a while to respond to an answer, which drives me insane. Honestly, drives me insane. I'm like, just answer the question. We gotta keep going.
See, I like what you're saying now, and Sheila and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, was how fair is it if you, in your own little mind, have set an expectation for someone else's behavior, and then they don't follow through with it,
Yeah.
and then you're upset with them?
That's right.
That's right. Guilty.
Yeah, well, I'm sure
Yeah.
we all are guilty of that. That we're like, okay, well, this is how this is going to go down, and then it doesn't go down like that.
Yeah.
But then you're mad at the other person, and they didn't know that you expected that out of them.
Because they didn't do what you expected
Right.
prematurely, and they didn't say what you expected prematurely. I've got several instances just in my personal circle where I'm aware of that, and I deal with that, and I encourage one particular person, don't have expectations, and then you're not going to get hurt,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
When I have things that I need an answer or input from my darling husband, sometimes I have to go back to whoever needs family or friends and say, well, I've asked the question, I'm waiting on the answer. It might be a few days. And he'll get back to me, but sometimes
So
it
what
can
do you
take
think?
time.
What's he doing during those few days? Is he just slow as far as not understanding you're waiting on an answer, or does he like to think things
He
through
thinks
that
it
well?
through
I
and
think that's it.
strategizes, and
Mhm.
you know
There's
it's
something to
really
be said for that.
there is, because he's the person. As I've gotten older, y'all, I hate getting the box, you know, the thing that you have to put together and read the instructions. Oh, Josie.
I can't stand it either.
So we have our we have our assembly line, and he'll read the instructions and figure out, you know, same thing with conversations. He'll figure it out, decide how he wants that to go.
Yeah.
And there
Back to me.
are some people who are just very, very deep thinkers,
Mhm.
whereas you know, we all are kind of accustomed to making decisions. Like,
Right.
throw it at me, I'll figure it out, here's my decision. There are a lot of people who are those deep thinkers, and they have to break it down and take it
Mhm.
apart, and if I do this, this might happen, if I do this, this might happen. And it can take a while.
And where the misunderstanding comes in is where sometimes I feel like he doesn't care about the topic, or it's not of importance. And I'm like, we need to make this decision. Do you not care about blah 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 blah? And he's like, I just need to analyze.
That all goes back to appreciating, which we've also talked about, each other's personalities
Yeah.
That's right.
and how our brains work,
Mhm.
how we were raised to
Yes.
solve problems,
Yeah.
Yes, that's
how
right.
we don't like or do like conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Some people thrive on it, some people can't stand it.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
can't stand it. So, and I think a bad thing to do is to start feeling sorry for yourself, and you take on a victimhood when
Yeah.
someone else's reaction to you is not your fault.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
also conversely, the self-righteous people that cannot say I'm sorry. Like if you're misunderstood, you don't have to say it was your fault. You can just say,
Right.
I'm sorry, there was a misunderstanding.
Yes. Yes. I love saying I'm sorry.
Yeah, and
I
just
don't
the
have a problem.
me either, and just the appreciation fully of we are all different.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think as humans we want to think we're so much alike, and we should all, well, just because I think that politics, religion, whatever, well, I believe this way, so should you.
Yeah.
That is not true.
Right.
We should appreciate the differences, recognize them, appreciate them, embrace them, and you're still gonna love the person anyway.
Right.
But just, you know, not get angry or upset because someone doesn't do or say, or
Right.
if something has been misunderstood.
Yeah, and when it's misunderstood, I think a wrong thing to do is to start assuming what their motive was.
Right.
Then you had just taken something that was a misunderstanding, no one meant anything, and you've turned it into this huge mountain, creating a motive that someone might have had when they had no agenda.
And when it could have been solved, we go back to the basics, when it could have been solved just by saying, maybe I misunderstood you.
Yes.
Can we talk about this?
Right.
That's what adults do, by the way.
Yeah.
Adults come together and they talk about, well, you made me feel this way, or you said this, I didn't mean it, back and forth, and it can be, anything can be resolved
Right.
with proper communication.
The one thing I miss with COVID and this topic is the personal connection and a handshake, which is that,
Yeah.
you know, part of that body language that you miss in miscommunication that says, you know, I appreciate you, that personal touch, that personal connection that kind of lends towards compromise. So with everything being on text, phone calls, and not having that face-to-face body language, you know.
That's a good point. I have an example of that actually this week with clients. I've been helping them and helping them and helping them for quite a while, pretty involved, and then all of a sudden not hearing from them. Well, I'm over here listening to the quiet and creating my own storyline as to why I'm not hearing,
Yeah.
not knowing that they're on the other end with real life changes and change their situation, but afraid to communicate it because they'll let me down because they know I've worked hard for them.
Mhm.
So that worked out really well through me sending an email saying, let's get on the same page. What's
Good.
happening?
Good.
Actually met in person yesterday
Perfect.
for a quick little coffee, and everyone's back on the same page and realized what each person was thinking and
There
what was
you
going
go.
on in their life.
There you go.
And through that, found a new way to be helpful to them through what they're going through,
Through proper
Good.
communication.
through proper communication. So that's really, really, really big.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to reach out and say, hey, this doesn't feel right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or something as simple as, hey, did I misunderstand this? And I think it's approach. It's all about proper approach, not, well, Carrie, why did you say that to me? Or,
Right.
you know, your response to me is going to be far better if I approach you like, Carrie, we were having a conversation the other day, and maybe I misunderstood something. Can we
Right.
talk about this? And to me, that starts and opens the door to proper communication where everybody feels comfortable opening up instead of walling off and saying, no, I didn't. Because if you come at someone negatively or with anger, they're gonna come right back at you in the same way. Most people.
Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of these struggles with our distance learning with our kids in school and the teachers. I can't tell you how many emails I've gotten because the parents get copied on everything. There was a misunderstanding about my assignment.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, because when I sent that message out, I sent it not just to your student, to every student in the class. You know,
Oh,
it wasn't just to
right.
one person; it was to every. You know,
Back
so
to I'm the only one.
there's been a lot of
Yeah.
misunderstandings with all of the distance learning and the Zooms and the Kid'em and you know, school system's a struggle right now.
Glad I'm past that phase.
Me too.
Good Lord,
Me too.
It's a mess.
You know, you make me think of something else too, though, with what you were saying about you go back at this one, they come back at this one, or whatever. But so sometimes when that's been a behavior in the past with someone, you find yourself creating distance with that person when you don't want to.
That's right.
Maybe you want to embrace that person, but you're almost like, what do they call it? Gun shy or
Yeah,
that's a
good
whatever,
word for it, yeah.
because you don't know what's coming back at you.
That's right.
And
And so,
you're just-
so instead you retreat,
Yeah.
and at that point, with distance and time, everybody's going, well, what's the deal here? This person, before you know it, you have the end of a relationship.
Yeah.
If you're not careful.
Right.
And you know what? You mentioned this earlier, but going to a counselor when you're in a relationship, they can. They're kind of a mediator. They can see both sides, and you might be saying one thing and meaning another. So they're very good at helping both parties understand. And it
That's
doesn't
a
just
good
have to be a
point.
romantic relationship, parent,
right.
child, brother, sister. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's beneficial for everybody.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
And like you were saying, when the therapist makes you turn around and say, here's what I heard.
Exactly.
But it's also good when they tell you to look at each other and say it.
Yes.
Because you probably aren't doing that at home or at work or in the friendship.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to just finally say it. When you and it goes back to being that. Remember the show we had about truth brings
Mhm.
value?
Uh-huh.
Well, same thing. Truth brings value in a relationship when there's a misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
It's, if that person's worth it to you, go straighten it out.
Right.
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. No matter what the relationship. I mean, it's not uncommon to have strained parental relationships, strained sibling relationships.
boss
those.
relationships.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, friendship, fix them.
Yeah.
Don't leave it. Fix
Right.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had
So,
a strained relationship with my landscaper recently.
ooh, I never like a strange relationship. My landscaper.
Did you straighten them out?
You know what? We decided to mow our own yard.
Oh, okay. So you did resolve it.
We resolved it to our benefit.
Yeah. Well, sometimes that's the only way it's going to end. Is it's over.
You know.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Unfortunately. But we all can't get along. That's just not how we are. We're all made differently.
Yeah, but you can say we have different expectations, or this isn't working. Sorry it didn't work out.
Right.
Agree to
Well, we gotta
disagree, or
follow
go our
this,
own way.
Yeah.
Was that a Biden flag?
I know. That's what I was thinking too. Yeah, the Biden flag.
Mike Pence, I think.
Or Pence flag.
I mean, the Pence flag. Yeah. Okay. Well, we don't have Rebecca here today. She's not with us. But do we have a health tip?
A health tip.
I can.
I can give you a health tip just very quickly and without delving into it. We'll do more on this topic later. We have hormones that drive our hunger and our satiety.
And our what?
Satiety,
What's that word?
fullness.
Oh.
So when you're hungry, you should eat. When you're full, you should stop, right? You shouldn't be eating necessarily 3 meals a day if you're not hungry 3 times a day. So just be aware that calories in and calories out aren't the key to losing weight. It's really not the key.
More to come on that, huh?
More info later.
I can't wait. Okay. That's it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a good
Everybody?
week, y'all.
Yeah.
I hope we weren't misunderstood today.
Yes, that's a good point.
Okay. Have a great day. That's Soar.
Soar.